January 6th, the other day you called it a day of love. That sparked a lot of reaction, given that many police officers were attacked and there were mobs shouting, "Hang Mike Pence." Can you understand why many Americans would view it as a dark and tragic day in our history?
The crowd I spoke before, which you rarely see, I have pictures of it, massive, but nobody wants to put it on. It was the biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I've spoken to the biggest crowds. I've never seen that many people. A small group of them, and peacefully and patriotically, which nobody uses. My words were peacefully and patriotically. A small group went down to the Capitol, but they came because they thought it was a rigged election. This was a protest against a rigged election. And I can't say exactly the number, but I've had massive crowds, and this was by far the biggest crowd. I've spoken to the crowd at the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial on the 4th of July. This crowd was bigger.
I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify. And we become president, and you are the happiest people. Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us. And if he doesn't, that will be a sad day for our country. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
I tell you, there was a beauty to it and there was a love to it that I've never seen before.
But Mr. President,
a small group of people went down to the Capitol, and then a lot of strange things happened, including police ushering them into the Capitol. I mean, you know that. And a lot of strange things. So I'm not referring to that. I'm saying that when I saw that tremendous crowd, the largest group I've ever spoken to, in front of these beautiful monuments, I thought it was actually a beautiful thing. It was a protest. Now, if other groups protest, I know, but when other groups protest, whatever they may be protesting, nobody says anything. They have a right to protest.
There was a lot of violence. 1,200 people pled guilty or were convicted. Almost 600 were charged with assaulting police officers or rioting. Now, you're somebody who says you're on the side of law enforcement. You seem not to have much sympathy with the police.
No, there's nobody closer to the police than I am. Nobody. But you take a look at Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, people were killed. There was nobody killed here. Nobody had guns here either.
There were people with guns.
Well, really? I'd like to know. You mean in the rally, or they had some guns at their home?
No,
someplace. Oh, really? Well, I have not heard that at all. No, I don't think so. They had no guns. They had no guns. So that was a peaceful.
So you're comfortable with a day of love?
No,
you wouldn't modify that.
I'm talking about when I made that speech. I've never seen anything like it. They came down to protest a rigged election. Very simple. They protested an election. And you know what? I think you have the right to protest in this country. If anybody else protests, nobody does anything. But take a look at Portland.
Right, you're going back to another situation. I'm talking about that day.
I'm talking about another situation. People got killed. They destroyed the city. They've broken all the storefronts. They tried to tear down the federal courthouse. Take a look at Seattle. They took over Seattle. They took it over. They took over.
Don't do that either.
Of course. Well, no, but nothing happened to the people that did it. They're not in jail. There's nobody in jail. Take a look at Minneapolis, the city of this wacky governor, this wacky guy that runs it, that's now trying to be vice president. That was death, and it was fire. Nobody's ever seen anything. The whole city looked like it was burning down. Nothing happened to those people. The only thing that happened to are these people. Take a look more recently. More recently, about 2 months ago, they had a really bad situation where they put graffiti all over the beautiful limestone lines. They can never be the same because limestone's a soft stone and the stuff will go inside the paint. But they put spray paint on top of lions. It'll be there in 100 years. You're going to see it. No, but they had vicious rights. They were attacking the cops. Nothing happened to them. Only to these people. And I just want fairness, that's all.
General Jim Mattis, who was your Secretary of Defense, has now joined General Mark Milley, who was your Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, in saying, this is their quote, you are the most dangerous person ever. I assume you'd like to respond.
Well, they were not my cup of tea. They were woke. You know that. They were not great generals, in my opinion. I was asking them advice. I didn't agree with the advice. Look at the advice that Milley gave to Biden on Afghanistan. Move the soldiers out first. No, you have to move the soldiers out last. I don't respect them as soldiers. I never did. I fired them both. I let them resign, but I fired them both. I got them out in the form of Mattis. The other one I didn't. I didn't listen to his advice very much because I didn't respect, and some others. And I did respect others. My generals, where I beat, as you know, I defeated ISIS. It was supposed to take years, and I got it done very quickly. Had great generals that I dealt with. I don't consider those people great generals. I think Mattis was a wash and not very good. And I think that Milley was terrible. I watched his performances in Congress, and I thought he was terrible. Then he told me the same thing about Afghanistan. I said, we want to get out. I was prepared to get out. I was going to keep boggling, but I would have been out before Biden. Milley said we should leave all of the military equipment behind. I said, why would you do that? Would you leave a $150 million jet fighter? Yes, sir, it's cheaper, sir. And I started to realize that to me he wasn't my cup of tea. I can give you, I just had, I was very honored by 300 and some odd people signed a major letter saying that I was a great commander-in-chief, and they were all top intelligence people and military people.
So therefore, you're dismissing Mattis and Milley.
Well, I just didn't respect them. I didn't think they were good. And Mattis I fired. I said, give me a letter, but fired. And Milley I would have fired, but the time was, pretty short, so I just left him. But I thought Milley was terrible. I thought what he did for Biden, and he blames Biden on top of everything else. He blames Biden for the catastrophe. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country, I believe, or moment in time, was Afghanistan. The way they did that, taking the soldiers out first. We would have been out of there so good that, we had conditions. We had a very strong condition. You take the soldiers out last, but Milley should have been fired. Immediately should have been fired. Everybody having to do with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The withdrawal was fine, but the way they did it was so bad. Should have been fired. No, I didn't respect Milley, and I didn't respect Mattis. I respect a lot of people. But you mentioned a couple of hundred people. These were people, a lot of them I fired. I thought they were no good. What you didn't say is that a letter came in just recently. I had nothing to do with it. Over 300 people that work in government said I was the best president they've ever had. Let's go to another thing, the border. Tom Homan said I'm the greatest president in his lifetime, that in his opinion I'm the greatest president ever. The people that ran the border, I had a very safe border, I had a great border, I had the best border that we've ever had in this country, in recorded history.
And you hold Kamala Harris partially responsible for this?
No, I hold her fully responsible. I gave them the best border we've ever had. Now we have the worst border in history of any country, not just our country. There's never been a border. And now it's learned through, and by the way, just so you know, I just got Border Patrol, gave me their endorsement.
I know.
And it's a complete and total, and they said she's terrible. They didn't just give me the endorsement. They said I'm the best they've ever seen, and they said she's the worst that we've ever seen. They were so bad, I don't even know how they do it. I mean, it was so bad what they said about her, that anybody reading that endorsement would say you can't vote for her. So when you tell me about a couple of stiffs, a few stiff people, people that I fired, largely, you know why I fired? Because they were no good. Biden never fires anybody. So when you don't fire people, they don't write books about you. When you fire people, they do. They won't write books about him anyway because really nobody cares about him. It's one of those things.
Your famous line about Springfield, Ohio, and I take your point that 15 to 20,000 legal Haitian immigrants settling in that area causes a lot of friction. But when you said, and it's gone viral there, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, you say you're just reporting what had been said. But why not say now, well, look, that turned out not to be true.
I don't know if it's not true. I don't know if it's true or not true. I read
eating
something.
the pets. You don't know if it's true or not true? It's been debunked by
Well,
local
they say,
officials.
what about the geese? What about the geese? What happened there? They were all missing. I don't
There was
know.
one
Listen,
guy with
Howie,
two geese.
Howie, I have no idea. I said something. The big problem is that you can't put 30,000 people into a 50,000 person town or city and expect this city to even survive or do well. What they've done to Springfield, Ohio is very, very unfair. And, I mean, there are a lot of stories. There are a lot of other stories that I've heard that are horrible stories. I haven't said it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But that's a story that was reported, and I said that. Why don't you go after the newspaper that wrote it? Don't blame me.
Well, I think it's been debunked by local officials.
I don't think it's been
you're sticking
debunked
to
at
it.
all. I think nobody talks about it except you.